Inside the NFL, presented by Farmers Insurance.
Now, I know you guys know this all too well. There is a school of thought in these parts that the Week 15 matchup between New England and Pittsburgh is nothing but a prelude to the AFC Championship game between Pittsburgh and New England. As a matter of fact, you set it up well earlier because it's not just fans in the media who think that, but...
Well, Mike Tomlin thinks that, and he basically is touching the money. Never touch the money. That's what I've always learned, never touch the money. And I think NBC did a smart thing. They used Tony Dungy to get to Mike Tomlin. They're friends. They allow Mike Tomlin to sit there and start pontificating about playing the Patriots twice,
right.
And they haven't even gotten to...
Do you believe that's the case, though? Is it inevitable that this will be the AFC Championship matchup?
I can't even believe we're talking about this, Ray.
You know, I want to see weeks 12, 13, and 14. Can I see
5
those
weeks
first?
left yet. I can't even believe that the head coach
I'm sorry. Hold tight. You know what? Let me bring in a co-counsel. Phil just got finished talking about you don't tweak the team without tweaking Lawrence Taylor. This show, the best legal counsel who sat in this chair, who tweaks you guys, he's coming in to argue with me that it is, in fact, an inevitable setup. That would be our guy, of course, Mr. Adam Shine. Time to Shine on CBS Sports Network, co-host on this show here. Tweet these guys. Is it inevitable?
JB. Of course it's inevitable.
Set it straight.
How could you argue against it? How is that even possible, Ray? Come on, you can't argue against it.
No, he believes it. He believes it.
Yeah. But by the way, where you been?
I just got the call. JB says, come on, I come on.
I figured they actually packed you away somewhere. But here's the deal.
I've been sleeping under the bleachers right over there.
All right. Here's the thing. You know what? You never touch the money. And you know that. I thought we taught him.
It's always about the money with you.
It is. And that's exactly what Mike Tomlin's doing. He is touching money. And you know what?
How is he touching the money?
If one of his players did that, do you think that player would be called up into his office and say, hey, man, we don't want to...
No, I just do it. I just do it all the time.
Really?
Yeah, I used to look at who we have to beat late in the season and who we're going to see in the playoffs.
Yeah, but you can't say that out loud. I know it's inevitable. Everybody knows it's inevitable.
Wait, hold it.
Mike Tomlin can't say he's looking ahead to the New England Patriots.
Okay,
he's the head coach.
Can I ask you a
He
question?
lost to Blake Bortles.
Can I talk?
Blake Bortles. You can't lose to Blake Bortles.
So you're answering my question. So you watched the game the other night, and there's Brett Hundley. He looked like throwing it all over the place, but it's inevitable that the Pittsburgh's just going to walk through these playoffs.
Who's going to beat him? Who's going to beat him?
Well,
who's going to beat him?
What's he going to do?
Jacksonville's not going to beat them in the playoffs.
Why?
The defense for Pittsburgh's too good. Brown's too good. Bell's too good. Bryant was not really Bryant's when you look at the first matchup with Jacksonville. It's a different team.
Does Adam actually have you guys?
No,
That's what it does. Speechless. For the first time ever, Boomer Esiason can't find the words. That's never happened before.
You wouldn't understand that.
Come here for a
Well,
second.
give me a team then.
Can I sit on your lap? Is that wrong?
Give me a team in the AFC.
The only team that I think would be the Chargers would be a team that I think
Oh,
could
what
give
about that,
anybody.
Adam? Could they
How
be
about
one of
that?
those?
Vince?
How about-
I love the Chargers.
Did you wait? Hold it.
Whoa! My turn.
Go.
My turn. I've been sleeping on the bleachers for all these weeks. Let
You've
me have
been
a few minutes.
talking the whole time since you walked in here.
Adam,
Go ahead.
The LA Chargers are running the table. The LA Chargers
now
are making
that's
the
inevitable.
playoffs. I believe that.
Okay.
They are going to get in. If they get in, they'll be a dangerous out. They have pass rush. Future Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yeah, wide
legit
receiver.
receivers.
Good running back.
Love Anthony Lynn.
Great
Done a great
safeties.
job.
Okay.
They're not going into Pittsburgh and beating the Steelers.
Really?
They're not doing that.
Why is that?
I just...
Wait.
You listen when I talk.
Wait.
TJ Watt.
Hold it. Did you see him play? Did you watch the LA
The defense
Chargers?
is better.
Hold on. TJ Watt is tired. He's a rookie.
He's tired.
Oh, he hit the rookie wall.
Yes.
I'm getting tired of you.
Listen to me for a second. Did you watch the Chargers play up in New England earlier this year?
I did.
And that game, if it wasn't for two New England players running into each other and taking a touchdown away from...
I love the Chargers. I love the Jaguars. I love Doug Marrone. I think they have the two best corners in the entire league.
Yes.
Not only the best cornerback combo. You know, you vote. You don't vote for Associated
I don't get
Press
any
'cause
votes
you don't
for
know
nothing.
anything about
Yes,
football.
that's right.
Exactly.
But Boomer and I vote because we're football experts.
Right.
I'm going to vote Ramsey and Bouye first team All-Pro.
You know what? I'm not saying anything just yet because there's 5 games left to go. I mean, whatever happened to you, don't you respect the game?
I love the game.
Right. Isn't the game
I respect
hard?
the game so much.
Like
Yes.
But I am not finna sit here and act like if we don't know
He supports Adam.
what's going on.
That's
You
right.
support him?
I'm telling you what's going on.
Ray knows.
Like, we have to figure out somebody in the AFC who's going to make up their
Okay,
mind
we
to
said-
dethrone New England Patriots or the Pittsburgh
Here's
Steelers.
what-
I need to know from you, Phil. I need you to tell me who is that team.
The
that
Chargers are
convinced
the
me?
most dangerous without
But
question.
that's what I need to know.
The Jaguars are dangerous because they got a defense that can single-handedly win the game. And let's talk about Anthony Lynn, the head coach of the
I like
Chargers.
Anthony Lynn.
Okay, he came in there. He's a running back, and we're going to run the ball. And they kind of staggered around for a while. What did he figure out? Hey, man, I got a really good quarterback. We got some really good receivers. And let's just put
He
the
deserves
pressure
credit for
on
that.
the other team.
Absolutely.
Adam, you
How's
get the
that
final
working
word.
out?
Go ahead, Adam. You get
Who
the
do you
final word.
trust in a big spot? Ben Roethlisberger, Philip Rivers.
What did Ben
What the
Roethlisberger?
big spot. That's how I get that on purpose.
What did Ben Roethlisberger say after playing the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Hey, I love
What
the
did he
Jaguars.
say? Just answer the
They
question.
were tough. They were physical. They were legit.
Maybe
they can
I
make a
don't
run.
have it anymore.
Oh, but
You don't believe that.
whoa.
Hey, folks,
come on.
The big spot.
Ben loves drama just like you, Boomer.
Oh,
you know
the
that.
big spot was occupied by Adam Shine and folks after that smorgasbord. Cornucopia with a plethora of pontifications and substantiations. Adam won that one solely, and there's only one.
How long have you been under the bleachers?
Bring on the red hot team.
Put it
He
back
thinks
on the
has
12 weeks.
no chance of playing in the AFC Championship game from Thanksgiving Day. Here are the LA Chargers feasting on the Cowboys. You actually had them speak.
You're going back under the- you're going back under the bleachers. You're going back under.
Welcome back to Inside the NFL, presented by Farmers Insurance.
Hey, folks, the electrifying, well-oiled juggernaut, whatever you want to call them, Philadelphia Eagles, they continue to soar. But this holiday season seems like teams like the Bears, and I'll never knock anybody because you guys are from the fraternity, they can only look forward to coal this Christmas because they got to look towards silver linings for next year. John Madden said, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, the one position on the football team that you don't have to be steeped in football knowledge or know the game intimately well is that of
The owner.
the owner.
Yes.
So talk about squads that maybe can look towards next year to correct some things.
Well, you know, I would probably say, like, for the Jets, I think there are a lot of good young players that Mike McCagnon has added to this roster. They found themselves a wide receiver in Robbie Anderson. Austin Severian Jenkins has rebuilt his career. I love the two new safeties that they have. There's
Draft
energy,
picks.
there's attitude, there's a fire there. Now, when I compare that to the Cleveland Browns,
Okay.
the Cleveland Browns have a micromanaging owner that gets involved in everything. They're going to clean house. I think, you know, Hugh Jackson probably wants to get out of there as quickly as possible. I say that only because that's how I would feel if I were in his situation. And I just don't necessarily know that there is an answer if that owner continues to micromanage the team.
I don't know if there's an answer in Cleveland, but I tell you, think about the Chicago Bears, right? Think about a great defense right now. I mean, playing physical defense. Their run game.
Up front.
Up front. And then you talk about this young quarterback, Trubisky.
Right.
Is he that guy? Right? So if you think about a silver line, what does next year look like, right? Do we add pieces on the secondary? Do we get Trubisky help? Right? Then you kind of transition and you ask yourself, what about the New York Giants? Right? I think the thing you really have to think about is, can OBJ save us? Can he come back and be that one person that really energizes everything around New York again to get everybody to believe in New York Giants?
Well, interesting stuff. Chicago Bears, they have built their football team inside out. So I think their lines are good. I think that's the easiest rebuild. They got the quarterback. I think he's the real deal.
Yeah.
You can go get wide receivers, and you can find some defensive backs, but you can't find those quality offensive linemen and defensive linemen.
Did you see them as this year's Philadelphia Eagles? You know how, like, Carson Wentz...
Well,
really
maybe not
struggled
that
this year?
severe, but I could see them making a huge jump over what I wouldn't do this. Name me a wide receiver for Chicago Bears.
Well, that's the point.
It's hard to even.
But that's
pick
what
one
I'm saying.
out. I know.
Yeah.
But could you do that last year for the Philadelphia Eagles is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they struggled
Are they
too.
similar? So you go out and you get them some help, and all of a sudden now they find fire. You know what I'm saying? So
Well,
maybe there is something there.
Philly is
Let
a
me go back to what
well-put-together
you were
team.
talking about, though, with the Cleveland Browns. And I know Jimmy Haslam and all this. All I know about the Cleveland Browns is this. They have some quality offensive linemen. And up front, they've got some big-time players. Myles Garrett is everything you wanted in the first pick of the draft. He is a superstar waiting to happen, and they got about 4 or 5 other good defensive linemen. So there's at least something of hope when you talk about
Then
it.
Miles, okay,
go ahead. No, go ahead, Ray.
Then Myles Garrett is going to have to go from just being a great football player to a great front office guy as well. No, seriously. No, seriously. It's one thing that Ozzie done in my young career was he said, you have to tell me the players you want to play with.
Really?
Yeah, and so that's when we went out and got Sam Adams. We went and got Michael McQuarrie. We went and got Rod Woodson. Yeah. Right? Yeah, like that wasn't a GM move. That was a GM move saying, I need a player to tell me what.
Give me 15 seconds. We can't leave the 49ers out of the equation. What about the 49ers?
49ers, they got 3 first-round defensive linemen sitting there who are actually good players. And I think they got a quarterback. So they got tons of draft picks. That's the other thing about some of these teams.
Tons of money.
They're loaded with draft picks and money, and you can rebuild a team quick.
Yeah, I mean, look,
GM, listen to you.
yeah,
I love that.
Look, Garoppolo right now he's the silver lining for them, right?
Okay.
And now you have to build everything around him. And those 3 first rounders you're talking about on that D line, they have a real ability to get back in this thing very quickly.
You know, the big question is, how can we rebuild this show? Are we going to get this thing fixed?
John Morales gave me the go-ahead while Phil was trying to head down a different track.
Somewhere.
Folks, the Grinch around the Meadowlands is usually that guy, Phil Simms. But this week for the New York Jets, it was Cam Newton. Another controversial video review and one more fourth-quarter meltdown, Boomer.
Wow. Man, I'll tell you what was a tough one, but we got rid of our weakness, I think. They say that this Redskins beat the New York Giants to keep their slim wild card race hopes alive for just another week. And just as I predicted, I was going to win another week. I was 14-2. And we are just back from stuffing Adam underneath the stand zone. It's great. Take a look at that week, though. That's an unbelievable week.
You know, it's always about you, isn't it?
It is.
That and Adam.
I'm learning that.
You know his favorite saying is, enough about me, let's talk about you. What do you think of me?
All right, here we go. You guys ready? Are you done? Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's go quick.
Get serious.
I know we're going to go.
About this real tough game in the NFC South. Panthers at the Saints. This is a rematch of Week 3 where the Saints gave the Panthers a beatdown 34-13 in Carolina.
Panthers passing game is not like the Los Angeles Rams. The Saints can handle it. Being at home, I'm going to take the Saints.
Drew Brees at home after a disappointing loss last week against the Rams. I'm going to go with the Saints.
Now the Rams had to bounce back off of their loss to the Vikings.
Yeah.
The Saints have got to bounce back off of their loss to the Rams, and I think they'll do that here against the Carolina Panthers. Yes, well, I'm just giving you all sorts of things.
Okay.
Vikings at the Falcons. Huge gauge. Case Keenum obviously has the Vikings on a 7-game winning streak. He should remain as starting quarterback. I think we all believe that. Are the Falcons back, and are they for real?
In the Dome, the Falcons are back. They're rolling on offense. Steve Sarkisian has got that offense rolling. Matt Ryan is hot, and the one thing the Falcons have, they have pass rushers. Going to be a tough day for Case.
They got passers. Let's go, Jared Grady. I need them to play some defense in Atlanta now, and I'm going with the Falcons.
I know what you're doing. You're rooting for family.
I'm going with the Falcons.
Well, I'm going
getting
started, brother, because look at me. I look like a Viking, and I love the way that Case Keenum is playing, and that's why I'm going to go with them.
If you just put some horns on his head, it'd be go ahead.
Everson Griffin, the best player on the field.
Thank you.
There you go. Okay, Eagles at Seahawks. Eagles at the Seahawks.
Julio Jones is not, he's just okay.
He's pretty good. Yeah. Okay. Sunday Night Football, and by the way, he had a great game last week. Can the Seahawks ground the hottest team in the Northeast? And that would be the Philadelphia Eagles.
No.
Philadelphia at Seattle.
They cannot. Yeah. Philadelphia, we know the front. They're 8 deep with the defensive line. They can chase Russell Wilson around. They won't tire out. But the big thing about the Eagles is what? Their defensive backfield is really getting much better. They can cover. I'm taking the Eagles.
Yeah, tough place to win. But as many injuries as Seattle has, I'm going to have to go to Philadelphia Eagles.
Used to be a tough place to win.
Used to
Not
be.
anymore.
I say it still is.
They're going to go in there. They're going to roll up the Seahawks. Patriots at the Bills. Tom Brady's 26-3 lifetime against the Bills, including winning his last 5 games in Buffalo. Quickly.
All right. Well, look. The Patriots really struggle against mobile quarterbacks. Tyrod Taylor is very mobile. He can do a lot of things. I think he can really hurt the defense, but I'm taking the Pats.
Yeah, I think the Bills have a real chance of winning this week, but I'm going to take the Pats.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys are thinking about. Although I will say I'm happy for Tyrod Taylor. He got his job back. He played well last week. Yeah. This week is a whole different story. He's not playing Alex Smith. He's playing Tom Brady.
Do your thing, TT.
Phil might be the executive producer of this show, but this is my segment. So let's get some Battle of Ohio. Here are my Bengals beating down the Browns.
You got to tell them not to do such a close-up of you.
I love it.
Your age is really starting to show.
How do you think we
How
get
old are
ratings?
you?
How do you think we get ratings? I'm younger than you are.
Bucs when they head to Lambeau on Sunday. Winston missed the last 3 games with a shoulder injury that he suffered in Week 6 and then further aggravated in the Week 9 loss to the Saints. Meantime, Chargers corner Casey Hayward could miss Sunday's game against the Browns due to a death in the family. According to the Associated Press, Hayward went to Georgia after his brother was killed in a car accident. Coach Anthony Lynn said he's not sure when Hayward is scheduled to return. Falcons running back Devontae Freeman cleared concussion protocol and returned to practice on Wednesday. Freeman returned to practice last week in a limited role before being ruled out against the Bucs, his 2nd game in a row. NFL Network's Mike Garafolo is reporting that Giants cornerback Janoris Jenkins is undergoing ankle surgery on Wednesday. Jenkins is now headed to injured reserve. NFL Network Up to the Minute has been presented by Verizon.
Welcome back to Inside the NFL, presented by Farmers Insurance.
Hey, folks, welcome back. Boomers got me going already. Week 13 kicks off on Thursday with 2 familiar foes meeting with their seasons on the line. It's my burgundy and gold heading down to Big D. Boom.
You know what? I think the loser of this is essentially out of the playoff race. So this is a winner-take-all type of game. And, you know, I don't know what really I could say other than Kirk Cousins is competing every single week. Has the guy proven himself to you guys?
Absolutely.
I mean, he has to me. I don't know how you.
I don't know. They said we're going to see how these last 5 games go.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't care what they say. I can only go by what I see.
His body of work has been impressive.
Yeah, and the way he carries himself and the way he really truly is a leader. I don't think this Dallas defense is very good. I don't think their secondary is very good. Even though he's playing up with beat-up guys and missing so many players, I think he's really the difference because Dak Prescott just does not look like the same quarterback and doesn't sound like the same.
Well, I guess that's why I asked the question, right? Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott goes out, right? I need to ask quarterbacks, how big is that? Without Joe Morris, could you win?
Well, I think we could.
Just answer Westfield. Go ahead.
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Wow. No, but I'm answering the context of Zeke Elliott being out.
Yes. Go ahead.
They built the team around their offensive line running the football. So what you have seen, the Dallas Cowboys try to run the football, and they've turned a lot of 20-yard runs into 5-yard runs now. So, you know, the Ezekiel Elliott's, as Jason Garrett said it to me this way, we could have drafted a really solid defensive player in that spot, because they needed defensive players. But you know what? We drafted what we think is a potential Hall of Famer.
Special guy.
A Hall of Famer, so they took a chance, and it played out last year.
Yeah.
And now that he's out, we see it.
Well, I mean, when you read the clippings, right, Dak is really frustrated. He's in that sophomore slump, where we may call it, right?
Well, he's in a different world, Ray. He's playing, this is a new team he's playing for. Now has to pass the football in different situations.
Different ball club.
And not only that, I think his group of receivers, you know, we're starting to see some weakness there, too. So a lot of things have changed for Dak. I don't think he's gotten worse over last year. It's just that he's playing with a different
Yeah, it's just the environment around him. But I will say on the other side, for the Redskins, especially Ryan Kerrigan, never really gets talked about in the league. And this guy is a stud.
He's awesome.
He is an awesome football player. Nobody ever really talks about him. We saw Terrell Suggs in our show earlier, and everybody wants to talk about Terrell. Oh, that's the kind of guy he is. Yeah. He's that kind of playmaker for the Washington Redskins. I just think this is the end of the season for the Dallas Cowboys. And the reason I say that is because of all of the noise around this franchise, from their owner to the suspension of Zeke Elliott to the injuries to Tyron Smith and other players on defense. I just think this is really you know, a tough spot for the Dallas.
I think it's a toss-up here. Let me just say this: the Washington Redskins offensive line was probably one of the best in the NFL, but that doesn't exist anymore.
Nope, right.
It is you don't even know who's up there, and the backup's getting hurt, whatever. So this is a game where I look at the Dallas defensive line that it can play better. But if they don't get after the quarterback, they are going to throw the football around against this Dallas defense, just like the Los Angeles Chargers did.
Yeah, Cousins is going to have a great day regardless.
They need their offense to control the ball.
Yeah.
The other thing that gets lost is Greg Minuski, defensive coordinator for the Washington Redskins. They are aggressive. They're not going to sit back.
Right.
They're willing to take chances. They got good corners in Brashad Breeland. Josh Norman's playing really well. Yeah. Swearinger, the safety. So, and you talked about Ryan Kerrigan. Preston Smith on the other side is a really good passer.
So they got their stars playing on defense.
This defense their defense is legit. They are aggressive.
Before we close this segment, I'm going to come back to you because you guys gave a list full of substantive reasons as to why a team may or may not be looking good when you take away a key component.
Yeah.
Especially when we talk about Dallas and the Ezekiel-less Dallas Cowboys. John Madden used to say, and I quote him a lot, He's a great deodorant that covers up a whole lot of else, but you did a great part. But to the quarterbacks especially, and Ray asked you that question, which I appreciated. Kirk Cousins, doesn't he bring the intangibles that you would look for in a quarterback as well that impacts a team positively?
My question for you, what's the alternative? Who is the alternative?
There is none.
He's answered the question so many times that I get really offended when it's even asked to me.
So then there's a problem then if you continue to hear those kinds of questions coming up from the front office, if you will, or the team.
Remember I was telling you about
body of work
micromanaging with the Browns?
Yeah.
There's a lot of micromanaging that goes on with the Redskins.
Redskins.
well
For years.
All right.
Welcome back to Inside the NFL, presented by Farmers Insurance.
Time for Dear Insiders.
this
And the
ought to
first
be good.
question is to you, Ray. Dear Ray, I love you, brother, but I've got one question for you. Why do you keep showing up on the Ravens stats sheet? Take a look at the video. Thanks in advance, T-Sizzle from Baltimore. Take a look.
Every time I'm getting ready to get one, I can hear Ray Lewis saying, "Sizzle, get the ball. I want the ball." So Ray Lewis, he probably made a tackle tonight. You know, he's always gotten credit. Y'all think I'm joking? Like, he's like, one game he didn't play and he made the stat sheet. Like, you make a tackle, he's somewhere was near and he'd be like, "Yo, Ray Lewis on the solo." He'd be like,
That's big respect. Go ahead.
Oh, man. Listen, man. Steve Sizzle. It's one thing I used to always tell him, though, seriously. I used to always say, Sizzle, I don't care about the sack. I want the football. Because if you get the football from you guys, the whole game changes, right? But that's kind of what I've always done for the team.
And that's
I like
exactly
that
what
with
happened.
him.
And that's exactly what happened against the Houston Texans. They got the ball 3 times and they won the game. Gave their offense a short field.
Ray, you know, I was saying to you earlier, T-Sizzle looks like he's lost some weight and he's really in really good shape.
Really?
You're getting
Damn, that hurt.
Hey, I know it doesn't. Hey, here's big respect for my colleague, dear Phil and Boomer. We've been watching the show, and we love Adam Shine. Is he still around? Can you let him out from under the bleachers?
Oh, my
Thanks
gosh.
in advance, football fans from across America.
Well, you know, there's a lot of lying people out there that need to go to church. Because if they said that about Adam Shine, they just don't know him.
Really?
Oh, wait. It's for the good of the country.
Oh, here we go.
Here he comes. America. Let me hear you
comes.
say it.
Out from
Adam said
underneath the
it's for the
stands.
good of the country.
Defend yourself.
Defend myself. America's spoken. You need to defend yourself.
No, what do you mean?
I mean, you heard America wants me back.
Hey.
America wants more me. It's not about you. It's about me.
Just say one thing for me. Just say Blake Bortles the way that you normally say Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles.
Great, yes.
I have never heard a host ask Phil to be quiet because I'm talking, and you paid attention to Adam Shine.
Well, you know, sometimes you just feel sorry for people. And you just do whatever it takes to make them feel good. You know, that's all I can say.
good seeing you.
But it is great seeing my man.
It's so good to see
Blake
that he actually
Bortles.
has a heart. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But when he actually surprised us on that shot, when
That
you
was
see
great.
That piece, you'll see our faces like we just wanted to pounce on him.
The smile. Oh, fresh meat. We got this one.
But he had a future Hall of Famer agree totally with his rationale, his substantiation, his insight.
Well, see, Ray didn't know him really well, and Ray probably thought he was important. He was just kind of sucking up. But now that he knows him,
Close it up, Adam.
yeah, whatever.
Ray walked by me before when I was sleeping under the bleachers. He kind of kicked me away. Jeez, Ray, a little respect. Unbelievable.
Folks, that's it for us. Mighty big pleasure to
Bortles.
have Adam Shine back in the fold. Our thanks to all of you watching.
great.
We'll see you next
Ray,
week on
look who's
Inside the
sitting between us now,
NFL
slap.
right here on Showdown. All right, Adam, go ahead.
I'm the Hall of Famer here.
Oh, that's it. There's no doubt.
Ray thought you were an executive.
And the entire offense huddled in the end zone for a photo. And I love these team celebrations.
He lined up the team like they were bowling pins, and they all veered over to the right.
Outside. Hey,